aliens, power-ups, exploration. One of Nintendo's flagship franchises and one of the NES's greatest classics, Metroid on the original Nintendo made history. Right from its haunting opening tune until the final moments when you take on Mother Brain, Metroid set series standards from day one. And speaking of Metroids, you don't actually see any until the very end, and when you finally do see them, you're so taken by surprise it feels like a scene from Alien. Metroid is all about discovery and surprises. This can lead to some frustrating moments if you venture into territory intended for later in the game, but there's nothing quite like that feeling of finding a hidden room containing some kind of power-up. You start the game with a measly pea shooter that doesn't even cross the screen, but by the end of the game, even your jumps can kill. Finding these power-ups and going back to difficult areas is a power trip. In terms of big baddies, you have a couple, Kraid and Ridley, both of which I didn't even know were bosses. Growing up with later titles, I was expecting giant monsters. Initially, I thought these were like dummy versions that would prepare you for the real deal. Metroid is an outdated game that holds little value aside from what it did for the series. Maybe that's a little too harsh, but looking at it objectively, it's not that great a game anymore. You're limited in how many directions you can shoot, controls feel clunky, and of course, it's easy to get lost. Being on NES, it's not the most massive game, but because of the limitations, many of the environments tend to look the same. This can lead to confusion and treading the same ground over and over again. Dying sends you back to a general area starting point, so if you die, it can be confusing to have to navigate through the map all over again, not knowing if you took a different path this time around. Even more frustrating is that when you die or restart the game, you only have a fraction of your health left, no matter how many upgrades you have found up until this point. Would I recommend Metroid? Nah, your best bet would be to just pick up Super Metroid. It's essentially the same game, just done better. Metroid's strongest suit is how iconic it is as opposed to the actual game itself. It's a game you play just to see where everything came from. The screw attack, the bosses, the suits, the escape sequence, it's all here, just in beta form. If you really love those classic Metroid tropes, well, the sequel is a completely different story. I'm Boyle for Heroes of Fandom, and see you next time!